Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. So last week we did this verse number 29. We learned Ascharya Vatpati Yaschirenam Ascharya Vadati Daivachanya. One sees this as a wonder, another speaks of this as a wonder, another hears of this as a wonder, and having heard, none knows this at all. So we spoke about there is wonderment all around us. Wonderment referring to the play of divinity. God is everywhere. That's what we are told. It's a very awkward way of describing. Imagine a sandwich. A sandwich is made up of two slices of bread. The lower part and the other part on top. So what they are saying is, the substratum is God. Substratum is the lower part, the lower slice of the bread is God. On top of that slice of bread, you put another slice of bread, that which is superimposing, that which is covering the lower is the upper part, which is the world. You all with me? Sandwich has two parts, the lower and the higher. So the lower part of the bread is God. On top of it there is another slice of bread, which is the world. So world is superimposing on Brahman, on God. Now when you turn around, when you look around, what is it that you see and what is it that you describe? Can you describe what is it that you're seeing? What is it that you're experiencing when you look around? What do you experience? Aren't you experiencing plurality? When you say plurality, there are many things and beings with various names and forms. As they say in Sanskrit, Nama Rupa. Names and forms. I look at each one of you, have a different name, a different identity, a different characteristic, a different personality. I see various things around you, chairs and tables and fans and air conditioning and the lights and the bulbs. There are many, many things around. So when I go about describing what I look around, are they in singular, are they in dual, or are they in plural? So what we see in the world at all times is a plurality. We experience a pluralistic phenomenon, isn't it? Like when the white light, or for that matter the colorless light has no color, isn't it? So when that colorless light passes through a prism, you get the 7 Vibgyotic colors, don't we? That's the plurality. Similarly, The world we see is a plurality, different colors, different names, different forms. But actually, what is it you should see? You should see that one common denominator, which is God. Isn't it? Can the top part of the sandwich stand without the lower? In a sandwich, the top part of the bread can only stand because there's a base. So that which supports everything, Brahman is, or you can call it Brahman, you can call it God. Here he calls it as a wonderment, Ascharya. So what, in simple layman's terms, what we should understand is God is there everywhere. There's every experience, everything that you go through in life, there is a play of divinity. There is that God, there is that Brahman, there is divinity. Please come into the front. Vaishnav, can you just get that sheets for them? Welcome. Just for your benefit, we are just touching on a verse which we spent considerable amount of time last week. So we're just trying to give a quick recap. It's actually on the verse number 29 in the sheet you could see there. It's a very oft-quoted, very famous verse because it has been taken from the very Vedas themselves, from the Upanishads. I said the Kathopanishad talks about it. It literally, they've taken this verse from the Kathopanishad. There are many sections in the Gita which have been taken chunk from the Vedas, from the Upanishads. It only means the Gita in fact is nothing but an explanatory textbook of what the Vedas have declared. So the Vedas are the very source of knowledge, and Gita is actually explaining the contents. So the message in the Vedas or the Upanishads are very cryptic, they're very condensed, we're not explanatory. And you know what do we gather from that? When something is not explained, when is it that you need to explain anything to someone? When you don't understand. So when the message was given in such a cryptic, very short, power-packed declarations, it only means that the caliber of the humans were of such high level that they could understand and fathom what that meant. People could understand. So they didn't find the necessity to explain themselves. Now I'm not getting into the time zones or time when in history, when were the Vedas given, when was the Gita given, but as time passed, as time lapsed, humanity deteriorated. So the masters realized they had to explain themselves to convey the same truth, the same message which was understood by the students at large. So you will find references to that source of that scriptures. So here is a specific verse. And the verse says one sees this as a wonder, another speaks of this as a wonder, another hears of this as wonder, and though having heard, none knows this at all. So what we are just explaining, just for the benefit, please bear with me. I don't want them to not follow the context. You may wonder, what is he talking about? because just before you entered, we were talking about a sandwich. So we have to resort to all sorts of ways and means to understand what they are saying. Otherwise, you will say, I thought this is a Gita class, and what is going on? Cookery going on. Cooking class is teaching, what is going on here? So, to understand this, we took an example of a sandwich. There is a lower half, the lower part of the slice and the top part, both together make a sandwich. So what we are trying to establish is, God is everywhere. There is nowhere there is no God. It has been very well established by the Shastras. The famous description of God is all pervading is the great Prahalada. What a powerful message it is. I remember seeing it as a very small boy, growing up days. These were the kind of movies we were exposed to. And that little boy, his belief in that unknown was unparalleled. He never experienced what that God was. He never knew what it is, but his conviction in that God was unparalleled. And his father, an arch rival of Lord Narayana, he didn't understand. When I have been wanting to, actually I have been challenging him all my life, and I never seen him, and you are so convinced at this tiny age. How are you so convinced that there is God? And he says, everywhere. And as you know, the story goes, he says, break the pillar. Is it there? Yes, he is there, very much there. And he comes out with terrifying form. So just to even, we don't have to, it's not even a proposition, it's a fact. But even if you want to take it as a proposition and say God is everywhere, yes, let's establish God is everywhere. When we say God is everywhere, God is a substratum of everything. It becomes the base, it supports everything. Just like the sandwich, the lower slice supports the upper slice. So the upper slice is the world, the lower slice is God, or Brahman. What is it that you see in a Shivalinga? When you see Shivalinga, what is it you see? Describe me what you see. What is the description of Shivalinga? What is it that you see? If you are able to see the third eye, we need that perception then. That, yes, you have that, the eye is picturized. That's true, that's true. When you see the linga, what you see is that a half ellipsoid, which is the protruded or the projected or the perceived part of the linga. If you take a banana, if I hold the banana in my hand, what you see is only the upper part of the banana. The lower part is actually hidden behind my palm. Similarly, the Shivalinga that you see is only the half. So what is seen is the half, the unseen is the below. So the actual ellipsoid is a complete Shivalinga. But what is seen and worshipped is only the top part, the semi. But many people don't realize that it is only the semi, that what the reality is beneath. Again, the same message is the sandwich, the top and the lower. Now, the world is superimposing on God. That's the statement we are examining. God is there in every experience of ours. Does every experience of yours remind you of God? Does every experience trigger you to attune to that ever-present divinity around you? Every experience. You're cutting your nails, are you reminded of Brahman? No, why not delay? There is a possibility that every experience can remind us of God. I remember taking an example last week. You go to the Lord Balaji in Tirupati. Cross the 7 mountains. You take that journey, take that experience. You are ready to stand in that queue, or you go through a effort to get that right connections to take you to get that few moments in front of the Lord. And those few precious moments are very, very dear, very, very enriching, very elevating, enlightening. That experience is very spiritual. What you do good is you bring an idol or a portrait from Tirupati, an authentic one, not something duplicate. You pay, this is authentic thing. Okay, please get one and you place it in your prayer room. You've also visited the local Tirumala temple. Lord, sadly, it is not called Birla temple. It's not called Balaji temple. It's called Birla temple. We are worshipping Birla there, not Balaji. That's a sad tragedy of life. Why do you call Birla temple? That was not the no doubt about it. But the moment there is an act of doership in any giving, there is no giving. Whether he intended it to be that way, I am not sure. Give the benefit of doubt. But what I am saying is, the temple, same Lord Venkateshwara. Now when you go to, you may also have to climb a few stairs. You may also have to go through a few serpentine queue. You do have that same experience of the Lord there. But does it arouse the same spiritual feeling what you get at Tirupati? Ayyo. Up here fail at cha. It doesn't arouse. Okay. Then there is another Balaji temple. Okay. Another temple. Chilkud temple Balaji. Visa temple. Vera Perade. Visa Balaji. Now when you go there, does it arouse the same feeling? You go to a nearby temple in your locality, there's a Balaji temple, do you go? Does it arouse? It does arouse some feeling, but does it arouse the same feeling? Now you go and worship the Balaji in your prayer room with true sanctity. You have invoked that God there, you have placed it, you do your best offering. Does it arouse the same feeling? You have a portrait of Balaji in your wallet. Every time you open the wallet, there is that Balaji picture. Does it arouse the same feeling? There is an element of degree. Even though it's the same kind, the degree is varying. My question to you is, why? Yet there is not that there is less divinity in that portrait. Is God any less in that portrait? If you have any doubt, please clarify with Prahalada. He said God is everywhere. Even in a piece of stone it's there. He said there is God there. So what? It is not that it is any less, but we lack the ability to recognize it. God is ever present. All our experiences are in fact, you're able to. I remember telling you in this classroom, perhaps the best description of God you can ever get is, it's not what you see, that which enables you to see whatever you see, that is God. It's not what you hear. You're able to hear me? Not what you hear. That which makes you hear whatever you hear. That's God. So nothing can happen without the influence or play of God, but yet in only few rare moments you just wonderstruck, stand aghast and say, oh my God, what an experience, what a creation. I took mention of a few last week. Do any one of you can recall? What were the experiences staggering, isn't it? Staggering thing. I just took, again for your benefit, I was telling of a, quickly although most of you, a few of them are not there last week, I was talking about a documentary on king cobras, which I saw many years ago. It's the only snake, it's the king of all snakes, it's called king cobra. It goes about elaborately building a nest with the dry leaves of a bamboo tree, and monsoon is soon approaching. So it builds a huge pile of leaves, it lays the eggs. The king cobra guards the nest and its eggs, and the torrential rain, the amount of that green leaf is actually protected the eggs. It guards for over close to 3 months. It doesn't eat for next 3 months. It guards it, and a day before the eggs are hatching, it leaves, never to see its own offspring. And then they say, why does the mother leave, having put such elaborate effort to prepare and protect and take care? A day before it hatches, it leaves. It's because naturally the king cobra is a snake eater. So the moment it sees its own offspring, it will kill them. Isn't that a wonderment? Who has planted that thought, that snake, to protect it? Who has planted that thought, or whatever it is, to leave instinctively, intuitively it knows, your part is done, move on. And round the bush, it may come across its offspring, it will kill and eat. That is its svabhava, that is its nature. Nobody can change it. But yet, isn't it a wonder? And then we took reference of a human body contains 5.5 liters of blood, 5 to 5.5 liters. So if I may ask you both, do you know every day what is the distance the blood travels every day? Sorry to, that's all? Few hundred kilometers? No, not that you are wrong. None of them could get the answer last week, and all were wonderstruck. You know, your blood travels 19,000 kilometers every day in your own system. That is staggering. And it apparently, it seems, and then they were narrating in the context, it's like traveling the east and west of US 5 times back and forth, or 4 or 5 times. The east to the west of United States, you travel 4 times. 19,000 kilometers my blood is traveling within me to make sure every organ is functioning. Who is controlling that? Isn't that a wonderment? Who is governing it? Who is orchestrating it? Who is policing it? Who is making it happen? There is a divinity. By mistake, I cut myself somewhere, my blood will clot. If that doesn't happen, I will bleed to death in sleep. Who controls that? Isn't divinity functioning? If I don't blink my eye for a few seconds, I'll get red-eyed, I'll become blind. Who is controlling? Without me, the eyes are automatically getting lubricated. Who is controlling? And the list goes on. If I were to go on, you know, this morning I did my jog, almost close to 45 minutes continuous jogging. And after the jog, obviously heavy breath, you are trying to gasp in breath. I just thought, imagine if there was no breath available for me those few moments, what would it mean to me? When I'm breathing normally, when you're breathing normally, you don't know the value of that breath. But when you're that moment you felt, I was so grateful, somebody is providing me the oxygen to breathe. Am I thankful for that? Who is providing? I'm just taken so many things for granted in life. Isn't there a wonderment? Isn't that a wonderment? The list goes on and on and on, and every opportunity for you to remind you of God. Yet you only take few moments to remember Him, or you're reminded of Him. Like you see, I take you blindfolded towards the beautiful, mighty Mount Everest. And the moment you put your first sight on it, the first thing you say, wow. The first thing you say, my God. You don't have to be told what to say. You're instantly reminded of its creator. Don't you? Why can't you say the same thing for a sunrise and a sunset? Why can't you have that same invigorating feeling to every experience of life? Isn't there God? Is there God any less? Nay. That is what he's saying. One sees this as a wonder, one speaks of this as a wonder, one hears of this as a wonder, yet none knows this at all. Why? Because you lack the faculty. The faculty is required. It's like there is constant reception of transmission going on. Especially if you want to listen to a radio channel, there is transmission going on. But if you're not tuned into that precise number, to the decimal point, you will not get anything. You can be 73.8, but if the transmission is coming 73.9, you will not get it. Like there's nothing wrong with the audio system. They plugged it in the wrong jack. Nothing will come. Everybody was breaking head and what is going on? No sound, no sound, no sound. That fellow came, sir, you just plug in here, sir, and he walked away. And you need that acuity, that clarity. So you want to get to that divinity, you want to attune to that, you need that receptacle. And what is the receptacle? We explained that in 4 concepts, the 4 stages of the human intellect. The first stage of human intellect is age of perception, age of gazing. When the intellect was first evolving, it was at the stage of gazing. Example, you just gaze, amazed at it. Nothing happens after that. Wow, that's all you say. Example, don't we go through that experience where you just keep gazing at things and wonder, how is it that it happens? You see any modern machinery, a modern technology, you wonder, wow, how is it? You don't understand. How is it they have achieved it? So you go blank inside. So it's the age of gazing or age of perception. Then came the age of age of observation or superstition. Then there was an era, few thousands of years later, intellect came to a stage where they started observing things and they started connecting to experiences and started putting sense to it. Then they started correlating wrong cause, wrong effect. It's the age of superstition. Examples of superstition you can take: many superstitious beliefs. Sorry? Another superstition people have is they keep tying some kind of thread, avis, and they keep accumulating them. and they keep having them for days on end, or months. What would that mean, sir? If something is there on your body for months on end, what does it mean? Hope. That is what that guy sees. But being, again, superstition, you believe that if you do that, you will, things will go better off. I would say germs. All kind of bacteria is there, my God. And have you seen international sportsmen, especially cricketers, and I've seen fast bowlers, they are sprinting into bowl at a speed of close to 150 kilometers an hour. And that fellow is wearing a thick gold chain, or thick chain around his neck. And as he is sprinting, that fellow is jumping around him. And after every ball, he has to adjust it. So throughout the day, 5 days, you're doing that. And people ask them, why is it? No, it's a superstition. It brings me good luck. Now, I'm not saying anything right or wrong with that, please. But when you start correlating a wrong cause to wrong effect, I remember telling you, only clarification, I mentioned last time my mother. Vaishnavi went and asked my mother last week, did you used to say this to daddy? He said, not me, grandmother. My grandmother used to tell me, put your books under the pillow when you sleep at night. Somehow the knowledge will somehow get transmitted and you will become wiser next morning. So ignorantly, innocently, I used to do that. Again, there is a belief system. Superstition. And then came an era where there is an age of scientific inquiry. When you bring in science, when you bring in rationality, when you connect cause and effect, it has to have a proper cause and effect. So would you, being an architect, would you build a structure on superstition, which is supported by precise calculations? It's pure mathematics, isn't it? Would you say, I think if you put the pillar here, it is superstition, it will be good for the whole structure? Would you function any minute beyond mathematics? Finished. Sir, emergency surgery, sir. Rahu kalam panna vendam. The time is not right. Huh? What column they say? Huh? There upper column only. Now when you say it is now column or this column or that column, and the doctor says you have to perform an emergency surgery, it's a do or die situation, you say please wait, I think we can hold on to another half an hour or so, the moment is right to a surgery. You could take the body after half an hour. He asks for it. He got it. Invariably becomes that way. This is the... So even in an era today when there is so much of scientific inquiry, why you will realize there's a lot of people stuck at the age of superstition, and why the younger generation revolt against this belief, this knowledge is, they believe this knowledge is propounding or imposing such irrational practices, which is absolutely rubbish to assume that. Because why? They only look up to the parents or their elders to get this advice, and when things are being told without giving reason to them, they don't take it. They can't take it. Like I examined last week, what was that? What a simple question. Coconut. If someone asks you, why do you carry a coconut to a temple? Why not a pumpkin? Why not a muskmelon? As an offering to the temple. You're going to a local temple on a Saturday morning, you're going to Hanuman temple, carry a muskmelon with you and go through the same ritual what you would do with a coconut. And nobody would object you, but everybody would look at you and say, look at this cartoon, what is going on? Make a joke of yourself. So there is no doubt an implication why it is. So when somebody is told to do without questioning, without satisfying the reason, and if you do because it is being told to do, they revolt against it. It's unnatural way of education. And then came an era which is the age of contemplation. Age of contemplation is where you are able to question these laws. There's law of gravity. Science only gives you the description of what law of gravity is. But a contemplative person will say, who planted that law? Like, did we not ask, who planted that instinctive reaction from the cobra to leave a day prior to its offspring being born? Who planted that law? Who oversees that clotting? Who is calculating or making sure the blood circulates? I don't know why it has to travel 19,000 kilometers. I don't know. Please find out. Ask a doctor. I don't know. So the intellect, if you have what is known as the two intellects, sir. What are the two intellects? I mentioned of it last week. The gross intellect and the subtle intellect. The gross intellect is the gross intellect you use to study science or any logical thinking with reference to the world. As you said, whether be it mathematics or whether be it architecture, whether be it law, you need to give arguments supporting a case. You need to have an intellect, a smart intellect. You need to do accounts. You need to have an intellect. Subtle intellect is, it tries to question the existence of God. It tries to examine God. 1 in 100,000 will have a subtle intellect. It is beyond science, but it is very scientific. That's the interesting part of it. The inquiry is very scientific. So what you got to only take away from this verse is, you need the faculty to attune to God. And remember, I said this, the spiritual development and the, you remember? Anyone of you remember? I said it's inversely proportional. Or even with what you have heard, you can answer that. Going back to the example of Tirupati, Birla temple, Chilkur, local temple, the deity in your prayer house, and a picture in your wallet.